Thanks for joining me back here at RoyOnRescue. As you've probably heard, maybe this is the first time you've heard, there has been an explosion over the skies of Russia in regards to a meteorite that entered the atmosphere, but a 10-ton meteorite came straight over the skies of the northern part of Russia, it sounds like, and exploded in midair. Now, that explosion in itself, though it did have some effect on people's eyes, did not seem to cause the problem there. It was the aftershocks of the sonic boom that caused all the damage. And the reason behind that is because that sound wave was so intense that it blew out windows and blew down doors and created shrapnel types of effects, as well as probably other side effects that are most commonly seen in explosions. This can be internal damage, this could be concussions, but most oftentimes we see that it's shrapnel glass in the eyes, in the face, in the skin, and it needs to be debrided. Hopefully their eardrums were intact, because if it's loud enough and you're close enough to ground zero or where it would be most intense, it obviously could cause some terrible damage to the eardrum. Hopefully their eardrums were intact, because if it's loud enough and you're close enough to ground zero or where it would be most intense, it obviously could cause some terrible damage to the eardrums. I guess if the light was intense enough, it could cause permanent eye damage as well. As you can see in the video, though, most of the people saw the streaking across the sky of the meteorite as it entered into the outer levels of our atmosphere. But it wasn't until that meteorite exploded that you had this intense light. As you can see in the videos, it created its own shadow, and then about a minute and a half later, the sound wave caught up, and that was when panic ensued. You know, I can imagine that they would be thinking, what is going on? Are we under attack? Was that an atomic bomb? Where do we go from here? And so panic and psychological problems follow many times. Most of the people seem to stay fairly calm. It's hard to say what they did afterwards. Reports are still coming in. But it was the explosive percussion that caused most of the damage for the 500 plus people that are now reporting injuries. Well over 50 to 100 people have gone to the hospital for treatment. Now, what do we do to prevent that? Well, it's a little hard, because other than the fact that I'm curious as to why NASA didn't know this was coming in with all of the satellite coverage that we have, and why we didn't have a pre-warning out there for these people in that region to be able to take cover, get away from windows, cover your ears, protect your ears, and stay away from flying debris. Maybe it took everybody by surprise. Maybe this was invisible, it was hidden, it came in too fast, whatever the case may be, I don't know. But it's pretty hard to prepare for something like this. If we now, based on the fact that we know what happened, if I guess we see this happen again, we would handle it much like we would if we were under attack. And that would be to go into shelters, below ground shelters, away from windows, stay away from any type of glass that could break, and after the fact, and then I guess also cover your ears, try to protect your eardrums and eyes from any type of flying glass. If you're in a vehicle, get down low, plug your ears as best you can, and try to stay safe. And then be seen by physicians, be seen by the medical care afterwards to make sure everything's okay, make sure you don't have any internal damage from the percussion, which we see in many cases in combat medicine, where people have been close proximity to a large explosion and they have internal damage. So our hearts and prayers are with the people of Russia right now as they suffer through this. I hope they recover well. And again, I wanted to make sure we get some coverage on this and explain a little bit of why people were injured in this when it didn't really hit the ground per se. It was above ground, and hopefully this shed some light on it. From RoyOnRescue, stay tuned for breaking news. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.